Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. I used to believe that love, when nurtured with care and honesty, could never turn cruel. That night, I learned how wrong I was. It was supposed to be one of the happiest evenings of my life, a moment I had been quietly planning for months. My girlfriend Lily and I had been together for almost 3 years. In that time, she had become the center of my world. I had gone from being an ordinary guy with simple dreams to someone who found meaning in every sunrise, every message, every shared laugh, all because of her. We met at a friend's birthday dinner. She was the kind of woman who drew attention without trying, warm smile, sharp wit, and a glow that filled the room. I wasn't the most confident guy back then, but she made me feel seen. When she laughed at my nervous jokes, I felt like I mattered. What started as small talk over drinks turned into daily conversations. And before I knew it, we were inseparable. For 3 years, we built what I thought was love. Morning coffee runs, weekend hikes, silly arguments over which movie to watch, and quiet nights spent dreaming about the future. She spoke about marriage as if it was something inevitable, something she was excited for. Every time she'd trace circles on my hand and whisper, "You're the one for me," I believed it completely. So when I decided to propose, it felt natural, like the next chapter in a story that had already been written in our hearts. I spent weeks preparing for that evening. I wanted it to be perfect, something she'd never forget. I booked a private dinner at the same lakeside restaurant where we'd had our first date. I ordered her favorite wine, arranged for a violinist to play her favorite song, and even asked her best friend, Mia, to help me make it all happen without Lily suspecting anything. The ring, took me months to save for. It wasn't huge or flashy, but it was elegant and meaningful. A single diamond with a silver band, engraved inside with the words, "Always Us." I wanted to surprise her, but I also wanted to make sure she'd say yes. Over the weeks, I paid close attention to her mood, her hints, her tone whenever marriage came up. She seemed happy, content even. She'd laugh and say, "I can't wait to see what the future brings." I took that as a sign. But the truth is, you never really see betrayal coming. It doesn't arrive like thunder. It seeps in quietly, dressed as laughter and routine. That evening, I arrived early at the restaurant to check everything one last time. The table by the window overlooked the shimmering water. Candles flickered softly. The air smelled faintly of roses, and the whole setting looked like something out of a movie. Lily texted that she'd be there soon, saying she was getting ready with Mia. I smiled, imagining her in one of those simple dresses she liked, maybe the blue one that always made her eyes shine. I decided to step outside for a moment to call the violinist, making sure he was ready. That's when everything changed. As I walked past the restaurant's garden area, I heard familiar voices, Lily's and Mia's. They were standing just around the corner, near the back patio. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but when I heard my name, I froze instinctively. Mia's voice came first, soft and unsure. "Are you sure you want to do this, Lily? He really loves you. You've seen how much effort he's put into tonight." And then Lily laughed. A light, mocking laugh that didn't sound like the woman I knew. "Oh, I know. He's going to propose tonight. I found the ring weeks ago." I almost couldn't stop laughing when I saw it. My stomach tightened. I stopped breathing for a second, pressing my back against the wall, trying to convince myself I'd misheard. She continued, her tone dripping with amusement. "He's so predictable. I mean, it's sweet in a sad way. But honestly, Mia, I can't take this seriously anymore. He's too soft, too emotional, always talking about forever like it's a fairy tale." Mia's voice lowered. "So what are you going to do?" Lily giggled again, cruelly this time. "I'm going to let him propose, and then I'm going to say no, in front of everyone. Watch me make him cry. It'll be the perfect ending." Her words sliced through me. For a moment, I felt as if the world had tilted sideways. I leaned against the wall, struggling to breathe. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it echoing in my ears. Every memory, every kiss, every promise, all of it turned to dust in an instant. Mia whispered something I couldn't catch, maybe asking her to reconsider. But Lily just shrugged. I need someone more exciting. Someone who doesn't worship the ground I walk on. I mean, come on, he's sweet, but he's boring. I stayed because it was convenient, that's all. Convenient. That word broke something inside me. I didn't move for a long time. My mind went blank, then filled with noise, confusion, disbelief, humiliation. I wanted to walk away, to leave her there and never look back. But some stubborn part of me still wanted answers, closure, something to make sense of the cruelty I just heard. After a few minutes, I straightened up and walked back to my car, my hand shaking. I sat there, staring at the small velvet box in my pocket. That tiny ring, once a symbol of love and hope, now felt like a joke I hadn't realized I was a punchline of. I could have canceled everything right then, but I didn't. Maybe I wanted to confront her face to face. Maybe I wanted to see if she'd actually go through with it. Or maybe, deep down, I just wanted her to know that I knew. When she finally arrived at the restaurant, she looked radiant. Soft curls falling over her shoulders, a gentle smile that would have fooled anyone who didn't know the truth. She walked up, kissed my cheek lightly, and said, "You look nervous. Everything okay?" Her voice was honey, but all I could taste was bitterness. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Just excited." We sat down and I went through the motions, smiled, talked, pretended everything was normal. But inside, I was falling apart. As the night went on, I watched her laugh, watched her eyes sparkle under the candlelight. She played her part perfectly. No one could have guessed that behind that beautiful face was someone capable of planning such cruelty. At one point, she reached across the table, her fingers brushing mine. "You've been quiet tonight," she said softly. "Is something on your mind?" I looked into her eyes and almost believed the act. Almost. I forced a small smile, just thinking how lucky I am. Her smile widened. "You really are," she said, and took another sip of wine. I wanted to ask her why. Why pretend to love someone you plan to humiliate? Why waste years of someone's life for amusement? But I didn't. Not yet. When dessert arrived, the violinist began to play, the soft, slow tune she loved. I could see the surprise flicker across her face. She glanced around, realizing what was about to happen. Her hand tightened on the edge of the table. She didn't look excited. She looked nervous, maybe because she thought I was walking straight into her little performance. But I wasn't. I reached into my pocket, feeling the weight of the ring box. My heart was steady now, strangely calm. The pain had settled into something cold, something clear. I got down on one knee, just as I had planned. Only this time, my smile wasn't born from love. It was control. The restaurant fell silent. People turned to look. Lily's eyes widened, her perfect mask slipping for a moment. I opened the box, the diamond catching the candlelight. Then I said something she didn't expect. "Lily," I began slowly. "I was going to ask you to marry me tonight. I had this whole plan. The music, the dinner, everything, because I thought you loved me the way I loved you." Her smile faltered. The room grew still. But before I came in, I continued, my voice even, "I overheard something that changed everything. You said you'd say no. You said you wanted to watch me cry." Her face turned pale. The murmur started immediately, people whispering, glancing between us. I stood up slowly, sliding the box closed. So here's me, not crying. Here's me realizing that the person I thought I knew never existed. Her lips parted as if to speak, but I didn't give her the chance. "I hope whoever you find next gives you the excitement you're looking for," I said quietly, "because you'll never find someone who loved you the way I did." And with that, I placed the ring box on the table and walked away, leaving her frozen under the candlelight. Outside, the air was cold, and the night felt heavier than it should have. I didn't look back. The restaurant door closed behind me, and so did a chapter of my life I never wanted to revisit. As I walked toward my car, my hands trembled, not from sadness anymore, but from release. The love I had for her burned away in that moment, leaving behind nothing but clarity. Still, as I drove home under the dim city lights, a single question haunted me. How long had she been preet that night, after leaving the restaurant. I didn't drive straight home. I pulled into a quiet parking lot near the lake, the same one where Lily and I once spent hours talking about dreams, fears, and everything in between. The irony wasn't lost on me. I turned off the engine and sat there in silence, my hands gripping the steering wheel. The reflection of city lights rippled across the water, and for the first time in years, I felt completely hollow. Not angry, not heartbroken, just empty. It's strange how fast love can turn into disbelief. You spend years building something, brick by brick, trusting every word, every look, and then one moment, one truth shatters it all. I kept replaying her words in my head, each syllable cutting deeper than the last. He's so predictable. Watch me make him cry. I stayed because it was convenient. Convenient. That word still echoed like poison. At some point, I realized I'd been sitting there for almost an hour, just staring at the dark water. I finally started the car and drove home. The quiet hum of the engine, the only sound in the night. My apartment felt colder than usual when I walked in. I didn't even bother turning on the lights. I placed the ring box on the kitchen counter and just looked at it. The small velvet box that once symbolized hope now felt like a reminder of how blind love can make a person. That night, I didn't sleep. My phone buzzed several times. Calls and messages from Lily. I ignored them all. I wasn't ready to hear her voice, not when every word from her mouth might twist into another lie. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight cutting to the blinds and the faint buzz of my phone still lighting up. Dozens of missed calls, a few voice messages, and a text from Mia. I'm so sorry, James. I tried to stop her. She never deserved you. I stared at that message for a long time. I didn't reply. There wasn't anything left to say. Lily didn't stop calling. For days, she kept trying, messages that swung wildly between guilt and anger. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. I didn't mean what I said. It was just a joke. Can we please talk? You misunderstood. I miss you. Miss me? The same person who planned to humiliate me for amusement now claimed she missed me? The audacity almost made me laugh. I didn't respond to any of it. Silence became my armor. Weeks went by. The pain dulled, but the scars stayed. I threw myself into work, into gym sessions that left me too exhausted to think. I stopped visiting the places we used to go, stopped listening to the songs we once danced to in the kitchen. But every now and then, when the night was quiet, I'd feel the ache return. Not because I missed her, but because I missed who I thought she was. That version of Lily never existed. She was a character I built from fragments of affection and trust. Then, one evening, about a month later, she showed up at my apartment. I didn't expect it, though part of me wasn't surprised. People like her often come back. When they realize the power they had over you is gone. When I opened the door, she stood there, looking nothing like the confident woman from that restaurant night. Her eyes were red, her makeup smudged, and her voice shook as she said, "Can we talk, please?" For a moment, I considered closing the door. But something inside me, maybe curiosity, maybe closure, made me step aside. She walked in slowly, her gaze flicking around the apartment. "It feels weird being here again," she whispered. I didn't answer. I crossed my arms and waited. She turned toward me, tears glistening. "I messed up, James. I was stupid. I said awful things I didn't mean. I got scared." I stayed silent. I thought you were going to propose, and suddenly it felt too real, too fast. I panicked. I said those things to Mia because I didn't know how to deal with it. She paused, wiping her eyes. But I didn't mean any of it. I swear. Her words were trembling, rehearsed. I could see the guilt, or maybe just regret for being exposed. I asked calmly, "So when you said you wanted to make me cry, that was panic too?" She flinched. "I didn't mean that literally." I let out a bitter laugh. "You said it with a smile, Lily. You planned it. You found the ring, and decided to turn my proposal into a joke." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry, okay? I didn't realize how much I'd hurt you until I saw your face that night. You looked at me like I was a stranger." "You were," I said quietly. "That's the problem. I didn't know who you were anymore. She stepped closer, reaching for my hand. I moved back. Please, James. I still love you. We can fix this. I shook my head slowly. No, Lily. You don't love me. You love attention. You love control. You want to see how much pain you could cause and still have me crawling back. She opened her mouth to argue, but I cut her off. You had your chance to be honest. Instead, you chose to mock something real. You can't unsay what you said. Silence filled the room. Her tears turned into quiet sobs. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered that night, the sound of her laughter as she planned my humiliation, and the pity vanished. Goodbye, Lily, I said finally, walking to the door. She hesitated, as if waiting for me to stop her. When I didn't, she whispered, "You'll regret this," and walked out. The door closed softly behind her, but the weight in my chest lifted. That was the last time I saw her. Over the following months, I started to rebuild myself piece by piece. I reconnected with old friends I neglected, spent weekends hiking, traveled a little, and found comfort in solitude. I learned how to enjoy my own company again. There were still moments when the past crept back, random flashes of her smile, echoes of conversations that once felt genuine. But instead of pain, those memories brought understanding. I realized that sometimes love isn't destroyed in one moment. It dies slowly, long before you see the signs. Eventually, I met someone new, Claire. She was nothing like Lily. There was no pretense with her, no games, no manipulation. She spoke with kindness, laughed freely, and didn't need to be the center of attention to feel valued. When I first told Claire about my past, she didn't judge. She just listened. That was enough. For the first time in years, I felt peace instead of fear when I opened my heart. One evening, months later, as Claire and I watched the sunset together, she asked softly, "Do you ever think about her?" I smiled faintly. Not the way I used to. I think about what I learned, not what I lost. She squeezed my hand. That's how healing looks. And she was right. Healing doesn't come with grand gestures or overnight forgiveness. It comes quietly, through understanding, acceptance, and the courage to let go. Sometimes, I still pass by that lakeside restaurant, the same one where everything fell apart. But now, instead of bitterness, I feel gratitude. Because that night, though it broke me, it also freed me. If Lily hadn't shown me her true self, I might have spent years trapped in an illusion, believing in a love that never existed. It's strange. The same words that once shattered me now feel like a gift. He's going to propose tonight. Watch me say no and make him cry. She was right about one thing. I did cry. Not that night, but later when the truth sank in. I cried for the time I wasted, the love I misplaced, and the version of myself who thought love meant tolerating disrespect. But those tears didn't make me weak. They washed away the last pieces of someone who didn't know his worth. Now, when I look back, I don't see pain anymore. I see growth. I see the man who walked away when he could have stayed and begged. The man who learned that love without respect isn't love at all. And sometimes that's the most powerful ending, walking away with dignity when someone expected to see you broken.